Well, from the book I learned sometimes a prop can be helpful. So let's give it a try. Ken, I'm going to tell you the story of Plan B.
Okay.
Plan B, it's about two people who sold everything to travel around the world on a sailboat with their dog, and they got struck by lightning and stuck on a little island, and it's based on a true story.
Really?
Yeah.
Tell me more. And tell me about the two characters. What were they running away from?
Responsibilities of life and being overwhelmed from a 24/7 existence in the world. Very tech-centric business. The wife had a web firm, so she was just tired of being on the computer. And the husband was a bit of a laid-back character who sort of dreamed about the opportunity. He was a dreamer and saw his in for the situation. The wife was able to sell her business, and before she took her next job, he suggested it might be time for Plan B.
Okay. So in the pitch, there's also Plan A and Plan B. And Plan A, you laid out very nicely what the canvas was. But what you haven't done is hooked me in yet. You haven't told me that one adventure that they had, or that one moment of conflict that is going to be the keynote for the entire story. You haven't given me that. Is there a moment in that story of yours that would hook me into wanting to read your script?
Well, if I try to answer the question, the first time they take the boat out for a sail together, the husband ultimately falls off the boat, and to the wife's dismay, where she can't even operate the boat yet, has to watch him scrambling back aboard and try to figure out what they're going to do now that his cell phone has been destroyed in the water, and they are both kind of I think it hits them the magnitude of the decisions that they've made, and that they can't even get their trip started without this chaos. Mm-hmm. In fact, they lose Plan C, or the little boat, in that scene, and so they have to quickly regroup and decide that they're going to continue on. And safety first is one of the things that they tell each other. He was trying to rescue the little boat, and when he fell off, I think they both see that, like I said, the sheer magnitude of the decision to spend their life on a boat.
Mm-hmm. And they lost the little boat?
They actually get it returned, and it turns out the little boat has 9 lives, and it comes back to them in various ways. There's a major storm that happens a little bit further down in the story where friends of theirs on another boat, their boat is ultimately disabled, and in the middle of the night at 2 a.m., when the lead character Sophie sees this happening and hears on the radio the cries of the other couple, she herself starts to cry and says, "I feel so bad for them. They're about to lose their boat." And the husband says, "What do you think's happening to us? You're in the same situation. We're in the same storm." So she's running around patching a ditch bag. A ditch bag is, if you're going to get off the boat for the last time, you got to have things in the bag. And she's packing, granola bars and sunscreen and deciding what outfits to take as the, boat is presumably sinking.
Right.
And then they have a second shot to try to start their engines, and they're actually able to avoid the same kind of issues that their friends are, and so they sort of have another close call, and then they get back on their way. So those are the first two, and of course the third time is they're ultimately struck. The boat is struck by lightning, and now they are stuck on an island that is in the Caribbean. They do speak English, but there's no traffic lights. It's a small place, and they have to make the best of it and decide what they're going to do with themselves next.
Mm-hmm. And is there ever conflict between the husband and the wife?
Absolutely. She starts
Give me an example.
Oh, sure. Well, she's checking
When you're pitching, it's always good to give examples of stuff that's in the script.
Okay, good. She checks her watch incessantly throughout, and her BlackBerry throughout the beginning of our story, because she's just coming off of this existence that we both know. And so, of course, the husband chucks it overboard in a statement early on to say, what do you have, a hot date? You're on the boat now, kid. There's no checking the email and the schedule anymore.
Mm-hmm.
So technology, the issues of technology versus, letting go and being off the grid.
Uh-huh. And does she accept it, or is she bugged?
Struggles with it until she gets hit by lightning, and now she really is not only the technology is taken away from her, but I mean in every major way. The electricity for the air conditioning on their yacht, the refrigerator, the music. I mean, now it's gone from just a little bit of inconvenience to absolutely everything is not working on this boat anymore. Now they have to either work together or, there's a couple of other people who come into play. There's a billionaire who sees the husband, wants to take advantage of the situation, and there's also a young, charming single man who, meets the wife and sees perhaps an opportunity.
Mm-hmm. See, your story came alive when you told me everything on the boat stopped working. Refrigerator and everything. Suddenly I was able to put myself on that ship, that boat with you.
Yeah.
See, that's the important kind of things that you want to put in a pitch. You want to be able to draw me into that story, tease me with enough information so that you don't give away the entire story, but make me want to read it. And you were just starting to do it when you started to tell me she threw over her what do you call it?
Right, the blackberry.
The blackberry,
crackberry, some call it.
It's called, yeah. She suddenly realized for the first time that this is for real, and when they go out and the ship and their boat is struck by lightning and suddenly nothing works on the boat, and they have got to get to an island or that boat's going to sink with them on it. I'm hooked. You had to get to that much, much faster.
Okay, good.
Okay, in your pitch.
Great feedback.
Okay. Try to keep the pitch to 2 minutes.
Right.
Why? Because most executives, their eyes begin to glaze over after 2 minutes.
Of course.
Okay. They hear so many pitches that if they don't get it, if you don't grab them in 2 minutes, you're not going to grab them at all. You can talk till you're blue in the face. The other thing is that when you write your script, you've got to grab them by page 3. See, it's very similar to the pitch. You've got to grab them by page 3. Something's got to happen by page 3 that's going to make them want to continue to turn the pages. And by page 10, the protagonist can never go back to what his or her life was before.
Okay.
Things are irrevocably changed. And then when you get to page 30, that's roughly your first act. All screenplays are broken down into 3 acts. And the first act is roughly first 30 pages. By page 30, he not only can never turn back, but he is absolutely in what we call a crucible. He's in a position where he's stuck, and he must somehow move forward. Now in real life, a lot of us get stuck. We're paralyzed. We don't know what to do. In screenplay, your protagonist must do something. He must move the story forward. He must be actively involved. He can't let all the action go on around him. He must eventually take charge. He or she must take charge. And then the second act is about 60 to 70 pages. Now, gets you up to around page 90 to 100. And at the end of the second act, it's what we call the big gloom. It's where the protagonist is furthest from his or her goal. Everything is falling apart around them. And then the last 20 pages are the resolution. And the resolution must be activated by the protagonist. He can't call in the Royal Mounted Police to save the day. He can't call in the FBI. He or she is singularly responsible for the resolution of the story. And when you pitch, you don't want to give all of that away. Pitching after 2 minutes, you want to say, would you like to read the script, to let them know you're done with your pitch. And then they'll ask you questions, and you know your story better than anybody. Just as I was asking you questions, you were able to answer. You communicate beautifully. You have no problem communicating. And you would do very well pitching. I hope your script is as good as your pitch.
Thank you. Would you like to read it?
Sure.
Oh, that's very kind. Well, here, I guess that was a successful pitch. So thank God I read this book over the weekend. I had a little bit of an idea how to go about it. And here you are, Mr. Rotcop. Thank you very much.